What's going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, finally, I'll be reviewing the 2020 season, negatives, positives, my thoughts, kind of maybe go game by game. But anyway, let's run that intro, jump straight into it. Just before we do jump straight into it, of course, follow me on Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok, all Swoop Luke. I'll be streaming a new game called Little Hope. I've got the case somewhere. Bang. This one right here. I'll be streaming it soon. It's like a scary game, and I don't do well with scary games. So if you want to see me scream like a, someone that's scared of scary games, then that's the game for you to watch me streaming. And I don't know what I'm saying at the moment, but Twitch. If you are a new swooper, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell for notifications whenever I post. And if you're a returning swooper, welcome back. Thank you so much. So let's jump into this 2020 season review. So to put it pretty simply, our season was disappointing and shithouse. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. Swoop you later.
Ooh la la.
But seriously, this season was very roller coastery. Is that a word, roller coastery? Probably not, but it is now. Very up and down. We started with so much promise. COVID happened, and we didn't know if we were going to get a round one, let alone the rest of the season, playing to empty stadiums. We stopped for a few months. The boys are training by themselves. It's absolutely ridiculous. They come back to full training. They can't have full contact, and it's ridiculous. It's there's no other word than absolutely ridiculous, and something that you would not have thought of in a million trillion years that would happen. But it happened, so let's look back on the season that was. So way back in March, our season started off with heaps of promise. We put a four-quarter performance against the Doggies, absolutely smashed them by 52 points, and that was very telling because we saw this sort of game plan that was, fast, quick sort of movement, handballs through the middle, everything working really well. 52 points, that's a big win to start your season. And we thought, here we go, here's that momentum. Bang, then bang, COVID. We take a few months breaks. We don't come back until June. From March until June is our next game. And we open up the COVID season with a draw against Richmond. 10 goals were kicked in that game, 5 goals each. Should we have won that game? Yep, sure we should have. But it was a classic Collingwood performance, epitomising the rollercoaster year that was. The next few weeks are up and down as well. We come out the next week after that Richmond draw. We smash St Kilda by 44 points. And then we lose to the Giants by 2 points. And then we lose the Anzac Day game to Essendon by 15 points. And those 3 weeks showed how good Collingwood can be when they're on and when they're on fire. And then how absolutely shocking Collingwood can be when we don't play to a game plan, or we play too tall, or, our game plan is slow, and not taking it on. The next 5 rounds included the Geelong win, the huge Geelong win by 22 points up in Perth, where we just came out, and it was the type of football that we were playing against St Kilda, the type of football that we were playing against the Western Bulldogs, and the type of football that we want to see the boys play. But then the next week, we get done by 66 points against the Eagles, and then again, we lose to Fremantle. So 2 losses in a row before we kind of steady the ship and beat Sydney by 9 points. And again, I cannot stress enough how roller coastery this season was. And I know a lot of teams have had roller coaster seasons this year because of COVID and stuff. But when you start off with such promise and then put this stuff up, that's what's disheartening the most. The next 5 rounds were not too bad. We went 3 wins, 2 losses. The 2 losses coming to Brisbane by a few points, and then Melbourne by over 50 points, which absolutely shocked us. We had a good win against Adelaide, a good win against North Melbourne, and then an amazing win against Carlton, which was one of my highlights of the season. Just shocking. They thought they were going to win, and us coming out playing good football again, really shutting them down and ruining their chances of playing finals. It just fuels that fire in your belly, and it feels really good. We finished off the season with a win against Gold Coast to secure a final spot, and then a loss against Port Adelaide because, apparently we can't win on big milestone games. As we know, the finals were some of our best and some of our worst of the season. Again, roller coaster season. We beat West Coast over there, backs against the wall, dirty pies, etc., 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 by 1 point. Our best win of the season and our best finals win, barring the grand final, and probably just our best win in the last 10 or so years. And then we come up against Geelong and we go, fuck, we put up a really good fight against West Coast. We did really well. Yes, our backs were against the wall and we had to give it a little bit extra. But, with Geelong, we've beaten them. We know how they're going to play. We know what they're going to do. Then Geelong come out and say, 68 points they win by, and we're just absolutely shell-shocked. And it's one of the worst performances I've seen from the Collingwood Football Club in so fucking long. We go on in that game to only score 5 goals. 5 goals, 32 points. And some of those goals came in the last quarter where Geelong just put the foot off the gas. So you can see how frustrating this season was. Again, very roller coastery and obviously very up and down. There was times where we gained a lot of momentum and then times where we just shot right down. And you can't have that. To be a team that competes, you can't have those massive lapses in your good games versus your bad games. I could kind of forgive, some of these games if we were putting up a good fight and then we lost. But when you show no fight or your only fight is a really bad defensive game plan, that's when you start asking questions of the club and start going, what the hell is going on? At the conclusion of the season, we ended up finishing 8th, just sneaking into 8th. So there was a chance that we couldn't make finals or couldn't finish in that top 8 anyway. And, finishing 8th or not making finals pretty much sums up the season that was. So some of the accolades from this season: Josh Dacos won Goal of the Year with that amazing goal against Sydney. Pendlebury was named Captain of the Year. Taylor Adams, Darcy Moore make the All-Australian team. And Josh Dacos is named in the 22 under 22, or best 22 under 22 in the AFL. Taylor Adams comes first in the Copeland, followed by Scott Pendlebury, after missing 4 or so games. Jack Crisp, Darcy Moore and Braden Maynard round out the top 5 as well. So from the outside looking in, just for our season in a whole, before I get to positives and negatives, you can see that the season, if we were a rebuilding team and we were coming from the bottom 10, this season doesn't look too bad. You get a couple All-Australians, Goal of the Year, you scrape into finals, but you still make the finals, you put up a good first final. But the thing is, we're not a rebuilding team. We were up there only 2 years ago. Literally up there. 2.5 minutes away from a premiership. That's how up there we were. 2019, 1 goal away from another grand final. 2020, we're scraping in to the top 8. Like I said, if we were a rebuilding team, if we were a Carlton or Gold Coast or something like that, this season would be fantastic for them. But when you have, where we should be to where we are, that's what's so disappointing about it. Because we know we're better than we were. Yes, you can say COVID stuffed us up. But we weren't the only ones affected. There were 17 other teams affected by the same thing that was affecting us. Despite it all, there were some positives to come out of this season. One of the positives was the 6 debutants. We had Atu Bozanovalagi. Tyler Brown came in for his first game. Will Kelly came in for his first game. Max Lynch came in against the Lions. Mark Keane came in against Fremantle. And who can forget the ever-exciting Trey Rusco coming in and absolutely being that live wire that we needed. I said in a previous video, and I was saying on my Instagram lives and stuff like that, he was that 2018 forward spark that we needed. Another positive, of course, is that West Coast elimination final game that I did touch on. That was some of the best football we've played in a long time, especially this season. We've gone in with a game plan that was very short kick, mark, backwards, reset, very slow. And yes, it did work. We were like second or third best in the defense for the season in a whole, which is it's good. But if you're not putting goals on the board, doesn't matter how much you're defending, you're not going to win a lot of games without scoring a lot. But that West Coast elimination final, Buckley just turned the game plan on his head. We went really tall, but we went really quick as well, knowing our tall timbers down there. Mason Cox kicked 3 goals in that first quarter. Checkers kicked 3, I think, as well. And that was the sort of thing that we need to bring. We were still a good defensive side. I think the Eagles put on 70 points or something. They were always going to do that with Darling, Kennedy, etc., etc., etc. But we matched them with our goal-scoring prowess as well. And that sort of fast game plan, but also a defensive game plan, is the mix that we need for the 2021 season. Another really good positive from this season was the improvement of some of our players. Dacos went from probably not being on the list next year after the 2019 that he had to being one of the first picked. He's just come from the heavens, come from the clouds. He's doing amazing work as a midfielder, doing amazing work as a forward sneak and getting those goals like just only a Dacos can. Obviously scoring goal of the year and stuff like that. Johnny Noble and Isaac Quaino off that half back line were just absolutely phenomenal. I've talked so much about RQ. You know how much I love him. And he's just gone to another level this season. So is Johnny Noble as well. I trust him with ball in hand now. Another one who impressed me very much, and I know he impressed you guys, is Magin. Imagine, right? Imagine at the start of the season and you're going to say to me, he's going to be a staple in our back line. Sure, you're not going to have Jeremy Howe because of an injury, but imagine he's going to be a staple in our back line and you're going to trust him with the ball and he's going to take on the guys in the opposing team and he's going to hit targets. I go, nah, you're absolutely dreaming. I bet you $1 million it won't happen. I would have lost $1 million. I like him in the back six. Yes, of course, I would prefer Jeremy Howe up there as well. But Jack Magin, for what it's worth, he has just absolutely improved out of nowhere. And all credit to him. Basketball, and stuff, etc., etc., etc. But all credit to him because now I don't see him... Well, I know that in the back line, if Darcy Moore or Jeremy Howe goes down again, we know that we can put Magin and he's only going to get better. Just like the other guys like Isaac and stuff next season with another preseason under his belt. We let in the third least points of the 2020 season. All in all, Port Adelaide let in 869 points, Richmond let in 874 points, and Collingwood let in 881 points. So you can see that we were a good team defensively. So one of the biggest negatives for me for this season was the amount of injuries that we had or players that weren't able to play, and 2, the off-field stuff that just got in the way for most of the season. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about all these sort of breaches, Steele Sidebottom breaching COVID rules and losing him for 4 or so weeks when we actually needed him. Nathan Buckley, the coach of the club, while COVID was, all the rage and stuff and all these protocols were put in place, having a hit of tennis with someone outside of the bubble. Just stuff like that, it just makes you so frustrated because the season that we could have had if we had these, if we didn't have these indiscretions, even like the Harry O'Brien thing, the Hurudia Lumumba thing, it took most of the season away and we didn't have a really good answer for it and it's just still ongoing. Jeremy Howe going down, Jordan De Goey going down, Adam Treloar going down, Scott Pendlebury, and then losing Steele Sidebottom because his wife was having, they were having a baby. So obviously congratulations to them. That was always going to happen. But there's injuries you don't see Pendlebury going out for 4 or so weeks with a quad. You don't see Jeremy Howe doing his PCL. Adam Treloar with his soft tissues. Jordan De Goey with an innocuous finger injury that takes him out for 10 weeks. Stuff like that you don't take into account when the season starts. Yes, you think you're going to have injuries, but when your star players are out for so long, it does put a strain on the team. We lost games that we should have won. The Port Adelaide game we should have won, Brisbane, Essendon, GWS. These sort of games where we have, even the Richmond game to an extent, these sort of games is where we don't apply the forward pressure when we have the momentum and when we weren't able to just put scores on the board even though we just have, like that forward pressure. We have the ball in our forward 50 and stuff like that. And then the other team gets a couple of cheap goals because we just can't get that counter-attack that defense for the counter-attack correct. The best teams win games where they're just kind of down and out. You see it a lot with Richmond. You see it a lot with Geelong as well. When they're down, they find another gear. Collingwood don't have or didn't have this season that other gear to go to. It was like we stalled in third and couldn't push to fourth. This is evident by the amount of times we went into quarters or finished quarters goalless or only kicking one goal. You're not going to win a lot of games when in a 4-quarter game, 2 of those quarters, you're not kicking any goals. Or 3 of those quarters, you're only kicking 1 goal. You can't win games like that. And that's why we finished 16th or 15th on the points for ladder. Absolutely ridiculous and something that needs to change in 2021. The final thing I want to talk about, and I've touched on it throughout this season, is our game plan. When the game plan is like the West Coast game or the first Geelong game or the Western Bulldogs game where it's fast, quick, and exciting, exhilarating, dash and dare, amazing, perfect, yes, 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 yes. That's what I wanted to see. But when it's that bullshit, stop, start, kick here, kick backwards, like little chess pieces, it doesn't work. Because we don't have the tall forwards that can take those marks, you know. Mason Cox only played a handful of good games, and most of the season he was out. You're not going to rely on Darcy Cameron. Mychek's not that guy that's going to take those big sort of marks when he's getting the best defender because he's the only tall down there. It's stuff like this where, are we going to be a great defensive side, or are we going to be a great defensive side and a good attacking side? There has to be that balance. And we know we can do it because look at that West Coast game. Look at that Western Bulldogs game. Look at the first Geelong game. We know we can do it. But for some reason, if game plan A works one week, Buckley doesn't want to do it the next week. He reverts back to a stop, slow start. Why was it where in that West Coast game, that amazing West Coast game, we could have that dash in there. But then against Geelong, when the first quarter was up in arms and we could have started stamping our authority on it, we turned to a slow-moving game and let Geelong overwhelm us and let them run past for tackles. I just don't understand. I just don't understand the direction this club is going in. All in all, if I was to rate this season out of 10, I'd probably give it a 6.47. Why not a 6.5? Because we're not a 6.5 side. 6.47 out of 10. It wasn't very good. It wasn't a good season. Yes, we had some really good wins, but Carlton had some really good wins as well. Gold Coast had some really good wins as well. Fucking Sydney and Adelaide had some really good wins as well. I don't want to hang my hat on just saying we eliminated West Coast. Awesome. I want to say we eliminated West Coast, we got rid of Geelong, got rid of Brisbane, and smashed Richmond in the grand final. I want to be one of those teams where, and I said it in my previous video, we just rely on one game a season. Yeah, it's nice to think about and nice to talk about, but I want to go deep into September or deep into October every single season. And the grand final was here 2018, we went here 2019, and we're down here 2020. Do we go off the charts in 2021 or do we come back, We're at a crossroads and this club needs to pull something out of their ass to tell us what the hell is going on. We need to know the direction. We need to know what we're doing, what's going to happen. This Treloar situation, it's getting absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, guys, that was my season review. It's been a long time coming and I do apologise. But let me know your comments down below. I want to see what you rated our season out of 10. But until then, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.
Ooh la la.
So just before we do jump straight into it, of course, like, comment, no. And who can forget the ever exciting, what the fuck was his name? Oh, fuck me. Oh, God.